What is going on, everybody? It is Monday, April the 12th, and that means it's time for my news radar. This episode seems a little bit faster paced than usual. It's because I've already filmed this once, and I'm having to film it again because I'm an idiot. Let's talk about Surface Neo. So I've talked about the Surface Neo on many occasions in the past. I made a whole video basically saying, here's what we know about the Surface Neo at this point in time, and you guys seem to be quite interested by that. It is a really cool looking device, and if you're a fan of the Surface Duo, you might want a bigger version of something like this. And that is exactly what the Surface Neo purports to be. It is basically a giant Surface Duo running Windows 10X. And we have just very recently many reports, headlines popping up about the Surface Neo because a leaked piece of hardware did make its way out there into the world for a particular person to manage to come across. So I first saw it in a tweet here. Now, I'm not going to try and read this Twitter user's name because that seems impossible to me, but the tweet read, I accidentally found the Surface Duo prototype with no screen. Okay, well, first off, that's not a Surface Duo, that is a Surface Neo, and you will see that very clearly later. He then does correct himself, it is the Surface Neo. He calls it the canceled Surface Neo, which it is not a canceled device, it is delayed. We will dig into that in a moment because I think this tweet inspired at least a couple of other publications to call the Surface Neo canceled, and maybe we shouldn't be getting our cancellation information from a Twitter user who doesn't actually even know what the device he was holding was, but I digress. If we look at the pictures he has here, he has the Surface Neo wrapped in cellophane for some reason. And of course, from the appearance from the outside, what does it look like to you? Well, to me, it looks like a giant Surface Duo. When we open the thing up, we have a battery over here, a larger battery on this side, and a lot of other stuff that we will be able to see a bit more clearly as we move forward. And you can see a little bit more here circled, product not for sale there on the battery. Well, I wonder how he got a hold of it. Who knows? All that being said, this guy does have a YouTube channel, and he posted a video of exactly what he had here in his hand. So let's just kind of walk through this video, and full credit to this guy. You can see his name there. Here is the Surface Neo, and for some reason there is tape all over the front. Not exactly sure what's going on there. You can get a good sense of the size of the device there by looking at it in his hand, and it does, like I said, looks like a big Surface Duo. The first thing I want to point out here is the thinness or thickness of the device. You can see the USB-C port there on the right. Pick up the Surface Duo you likely have next to you and look at the gap there, the spacing around that USB-C port, and you get a pretty good idea of how thin the Surface Neo is, and it appears to be insanely thin. You have that same white plastic around the edges with a glass front and back, so probably going to be about as fragile as the Surface Duo. Now we're opening this thing up and we're kind of going to get into a little bit better information here. So he starts showing some of the internal components here, and the only thing I can really point out to you that I can tell you I know what it is probably this connector here, because you see this connector here with the ribbon coming out and going down here, and as he slowly pans to the other side here shortly, you will see the other side here. This is likely a data connector that goes through the hinge and connects the two discrete motherboards, connects, the batteries are on two different sides, as you do have a 1260 milliamp hour battery and a 2270 milliamp hour battery on the other side. So you have two split batteries, just like in the Surface Duo, and those ribbon style connectors are exactly the same as they are in the Surface Duo. When he goes up top here, I feel like you can see not only another ribbon connector, which has another twin on the other side. It's possible that this is your LED flash maybe, or something like that. Is this the camera module? Hard to say, although it is on the other side as on the Duo, so that would be a weird placement, especially in that corner. But I can't see anything else in here that looks like a camera module. I do see a SIM tray or perhaps an SD card tray there as well above this smaller battery on the left-hand side. And he kind of fiddles around with that thing just a little bit and can't seem to really get anything to happen there, but that's what it appears to be. It appears to be either SIM or SD on that side. And that's really about all you get out of that video. Just a quick overview. Now, I mentioned earlier that the Surface Neo was not canceled and shouldn't be called canceled until new information is provided that says, yes, it's canceled. So let's look at this news article here from Forbes, written October 7th, 2020. Now, I know that's been a minute ago, and some of this information is actually even older than that, but it's the most recent information that we have. So unless you can provide something newer that says Neo is canceled, you shouldn't call it canceled. Now, should you? We have a quote here from Mary Jo Foley from ZDNet saying, her contacts say that Chief Product Panos Panay had informed the team April 8th that they would not be delivering Surface Neo dual screen 10X devices this calendar year. That was 2020. In addition, they will not be enabling third-party dual-screen Windows devices to ship with 10X in 2020. We also have a quote here saying, in Q2 of 2021, Microsoft will deliver the first preview of Windows 10X. Okay, Q2 2021. Dual-screen 10X PCs won't arrive until the second half of 2022. So you should not expect Surface Neo until at least 2022, second half of 2022, because that's when dual screen 10X devices are expected to be launching. And of course, Microsoft will need a flagship device to show the world why you would want a dual screen 10X device, why they're going to push this thing. So it's likely that as long as they are working on dual screen 10X, you will be seeing Surface Neo shortly thereafter, or perhaps at that launch to show the world why you would want such a thing. Sticking in the world of tablety, foldy devices, let's talk about the Z Fold 3, because this report from Android Authority says Z Fold 3 and Z Flip 2 may be launching as soon as July. They mention here that, we are in a chip shortage. Devices like the Pixel 5a have been canceled in other regions, so it's only going to be coming out in select regions like the United States. No global launch for that device. Well, Samsung says, we don't care. We're launching our Z Flip 2 and Z Fold 3 anyways in July. They probably don't expect those devices to sell millions upon millions of units. It's probably not a big deal to them. But we do have some good information here. So there's a rumor that the Z Fold 3's battery will go from 4,500 milliamp hours down to 4,380. Now, this may be to make room for the S Pen support that is rumored to be stowable inside the Z Fold 2, which is very interesting, in particular for you guys with your Surface Duos who do really enjoy your Surface Pen. Perhaps this is something that might sway you. I don't know. Would love to know in the comments down below. Because you have to keep in mind, the S Pen actually has features. The buttons do things. There's integration into the device. That'd be cool to have, wouldn't it? They're also reporting that the Z Fold 3's interior screen might shrink by 0.1 inches, and the outer screen they're reporting at 6.2 inches, which is actually going against an earlier leak that I kind of tried to debunk a bit just maybe a week ago. So it seems like maybe they've realized, some people have realized, maybe I should say, that simply pulling a tweet from Twitter with a spreadsheet isn't exactly the best way to predict a device's hardware when there's no provenance for that information. Maybe you should take that pretty lightly, because that's not likely to be true. Bearing in mind that there are rumors of no Galaxy Note this year, maybe the last model in the Note line coming next year, maybe that Z Fold 3 will bridge that gap and will cover up for the Galaxy Note. If that's the case, expect a much bigger push for the Z Fold 3 than we've seen in the past, because the Note won't be there to sell. And sticking with Samsung, let's talk about some camera tech that is coming up apparently for a future Samsung device. We've just seen the OnePlus 9 partner with Hasselblad to some effect on their cameras. Well, it appears that Samsung may be doing the same sort of thing with Olympus, although rather than just tuning the camera, they may be doing something a little bit deeper. So you probably know what OIS and EIS are, but in case you don't, electronic image stabilization, or EIS, is basically where you're filming a video and it crops in a little bit to give you a little bit of a buffer zone around the video, so that if your hand is shaky, the video can sort of compensate in that buffered zone around the zoomed in video to keep the video looking nice and stable. OIS will actually use motors to stabilize, to compensate by shifting the sensor around the movements of your hand to keep your video nice and stable. Well, apparently what we're talking about for Samsung with this Olympus partnership is sensor shift stabilization. Now, this is different because it's actually shifting the entire sensor around. We've seen this with the iPhone 12 Pro, and we've seen similar tech coming from Vivo where they can actually tilt the sensor around as well, and it works really well to stabilize the videos being shot. They say here this technology would theoretically allow Samsung to ditch the lens stabilization methods, which is what OIS is, leading to simple, clearer lens design. So if you're not having to put motors around the lens to keep things stable and you're just moving the whole sensor, well, the lens can be much more high quality. Now this does take up space, so we may not see this be implemented on a 108 megapixel camera because those sensors are already so big. It would start getting monstrously large. The iPhone 12 Pro Max has it on their 12 megapixel wide angle shooter, which all of their lenses are around that 12 megapixel range anyways, so not a big deal there for them. But for Samsung with their massive sensors, it may be a bigger deal. So guys, that is all the news I have for you today. Be sure to check back every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for the next news radar. And until next time, stay nerdy, my friends.